There had been 20 general elections in Turkey since year 1950. The so-called left wing won just 4 of these elections. And they reached the 40% vote level just once, and that was in 1977. For Turkey, we can easily generalize that the right political parties always win. But why? What is the problem of the left in this country? I'm ENGİN and you are listening to the Anatolia News Podcast. The right-wing parties, even far-right ones, started to govern in Europe this year. Italy, Sweden and Finland have now conservative right-wing governments already. It seems that Spain will follow them, while England, Hungary and Poland have conservative governments for years. However, the political predictions about the continent by the beginning of 2023 were slightly different. In January, The Economist magazine published an article with the title "Politics will move further to left in 2023." Let's take a look at a few paragraphs.
In 1979, a doubling of oil prices, which followed a decade of stagflation, brought about a swing away from cozy cooperation between the state and business towards a bigger role for markets and private enterprise. Might 2023 be another such year? It comes as a decade of low interest rates is ending, as high energy prices and inflation return to the world economy, and as war stalks Europe. It also comes in the wake of one of the deadliest pandemics in history and as China retreats from closer global integration. If these trends were to presage broad political shifts in rich countries, you might expect politics to move left, if only in reaction to the mainly center-right governments that dominated rich democracies during the previous decade. That already appears to be happening.
The Economist is mistaken, obviously. In Turkey, however, which is considered as a European country by some fractions and non-European by some others, the right-wing parties have always been the frontrunners of election campaigns. The main center-left party in the country is the CHP, Republican People's Party, which is founded by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk himself. Atatürk was the founding leader and the party governed at a single-party regime for more than 20 years. This 20 years was the era that Turkey had a revolutionary transformation from a collapsed and corrupted empire to a modern and secular Western state and society. Politically, it was not possible to describe CHP as a leftist party for sure, because it was ruling alone, and the second leader of the party, İsmet İnönü, was the strong man that fades all dissident voices off. But after the Second World War and the Soviet Union terminated the Pact of Non-Aggression with Turkey, governing CHP turned its face to West. But the West had rules. Turkey needs to be a multi-party democracy to join the Western club. That was Europe's and America's condition. CHP and its leader İnönü agreed on terms. Then, newly founded Democrat Party was on the right wing. They won the elections and defeated CHP in 1950. Since then, the left won only 4 elections till now. What is the secret? Why the fate of left in Turkey is always to lose? Left-wing activist and journalist Fatih Yaşlı asserts that the right politics in Turkey is more capable in creating new aspirations throughout the society.
How should we approach to the relation between the power and aspiration? Power is never just a simple oppression mechanism. Power relations can never be formed only on violence and strain. The main point is to create the aspiration and acceptance. And any governing power can create the acceptance only by addressing the aspirations of the society, creating new aspirations and manipulating them. This is exactly what right-wing political parties do very well in Turkey. They create aspirations, they manipulate them. They provide the social acceptance this way, and by doing so, they recreate their power and governance.
In the meantime, it must be mentioned and even emphasized that the religion, Islam for this instance, is a very strong political determinant in Turkey. In this country, description of right and left had never been about the capital and the labor. It was just about being secular and non-secular, or being pro-Western or pro-Oriental, or being a prayer or a non-prayer. In short, political decisions of Turkish society had never been about economic interests or class interests, but cultural concord. In 1965, İsmet İnönü described CHP as a party on the left of the center. This was the very beginning of the left-right clash in Turkey. For the right politicians and their mass supporters, being a leftist was equal to being a communist. And being a communist was equal to being infidel or atheist. And despite the secular transformation made by Kemal Atatürk, Turkey was still an Islam-oriented society. Majority of the people were not okay with a non-Muslim prime minister. During the 1965 election campaign, CHP tried to convince people of being leftist is not a bad thing. And right had a landslide victory, as expected. Majority of the people were not okay with a non-Muslim prime minister. Yes, being a leftist is perceived as being infidel. Yes, but do the left in Turkey develop realistic policies? Do the left in Turkey touch people and convince them that left can solve their never-ending problems? Is the left in Turkey so much good? And is it only the Muslim Turkish people that don't understand how wonderful the left is? Journalist Ruşen Çakır has an answer for that question.
Kendi ülkemizde, Türkiye'de sağ çok güçlü, sol öteden beri.
Turkey is a rightist country. The conservative politics is so much strong, and the left is so weak. But besides, in Turkey, left consumes itself with internal conflicts. Many leftists claims his or her comrade with not being a favorable leftist or being a spy for other fractions or political wings. By doing so, the left in Turkey decreased its potential substantially. And of course, the state and maybe some international networks also have the role in dividedness of the country's left political sphere.
Parçalanmışlığında devletin ve bazı uluslararası.
Erkan Baş is the leader of the Workers' Party of Turkey. His party has 4 MPs at the moment, with having 1.7% vote. Erkan Baş agrees with the idea that socialists need more to create an alternative for Turkish voters.
Türkiye'de sosyalistlerin herhalde herkesin hakkını vereceği şöyle bir özelliği var. Yılın 365 günü, günün 24 saati. Türkiye'nin neresinde olursa olsun.
I can say, socialists in Turkey have such a feature that everybody and everywhere would agree. The socialists are supporting all the people that are oppressed or struggling for their rights. They support all oppressed ones for 24 hours and 365 days. We struggle and support the people for 365 days, but we are not able to offer an alternative policy for the people on the election day.
Seçim günü geldiğinde halka gerçek bir seçenek sunamıyoruz. Bu bence çok önemli.
And a very significant case is the voting decisions of Turkish diaspora that live in Germany. Majority of the German voters of Turkish origin vote for the leftist parties in Germany, as those parties care about the minority rights more. However, the same voters vote for right-wing parties in Turkey. To repeat, as a conclusion, political decisions of Turkish society had never been about economic interests or class interests, but cultural concord. And that's it for this week's podcast. See you next Saturday. Bye bye.